Welcome to Sunrise Extra on a Thursday. It is a big, exciting day for a lot of kids. Portland Public Schools, the biggest district in the state, now today sending pre-K through first graders back to their first day of in-person classes, and then next Monday it's the next group, and then April 19th it's the later middle and high school students. So very exciting. We want to go out live to KGW's Bryant Clerkley. He's at Scott Elementary. It's on Northeast 67th and Prescott, and we're talking to the principal this morning. Good morning, Bryant. Ask away. We want to know all about how the first day is going to go.
Yes, good morning, Nina. And this is Megan McCarter. She's the principal here at Scott Elementary School. And this is an exciting day for everyone, isn't it? What are you most excited about as the principal?
I'm most excited to see all of our amazing students. They've been out of the building for over a year, and even though we've been doing home visits and socially distanced visits with kids and families, it's just not the same as having them in the building.
And these are kindergartners and first graders coming back to school, right? A lot of these kindergartners have not been in a school before, have they?
No, many of our kindergartners have not gone to school before, because if they were in preschool last year, that was actually social distance at home as well. And many of our current first graders may have only had the first, 3/4 of a year of kindergarten last year. So we have a lot of students returning who are new to school, and it's a new way we're going to do school. So it's actually going to work out great, because we're just going to teach them the new way as they enter in today.
And some of the new ways, what are some of the things that students are going to notice when they come in there, the safety precautions and everything like that?
Yeah, so we have a lot of different signs posted, especially in the bathroom, about washing your hands, about hand sanitizing. Our floors are marked with a line down the middle of the floor, so you're always walking on the right side with arrows. We have socially distanced spots in the hallways, in the classrooms, and also even outside. We've actually changed our entire entry routine, which used to have students entering right here at the main entrance, but now we're entering through the back of the building, where there's more space to line up, space out, get students screened, and get students into the building safely.
What was the process like getting this building safe for the students to return?
Well, it's been a Herculean effort by a lot of different people at a lot of different levels throughout the district. We had to move a bunch of furniture out of rooms so that we could distance our desks, measure the spaces. We have hand sanitizer, we have updated HEPA filters, we have all sorts of new equipment to make sure students are safe. We also have an intensive skills classroom at our school, which serves students with high medical needs, so we have lots of additional PPE and special things for them to make sure that they are safe as well.
And have you talked to the teachers? Are they excited to have students back in the classrooms?
Oh, of course. Our teachers have been missing their students since the day that they left, so I know they're just very excited to have them back, and to be able to serve both our students coming in person, which is about 60%, and we still have 40% of students who will be continuing online learning as well. So both, being able to serve both groups for each family and their needs and what they feel like is going to best serve them for this last quarter of school.
And moving forward to the fall, are you pretty excited or hopeful about, maybe all the kids coming back, or just having a more normal year next year?
I mean, definitely. And you say normal, I think one exciting thing about the pandemic is that it has really pushed us to think about how we can do school differently, how we can innovate. Our school system was built, it's been the same for 100 years, and it was built for factory workers and doesn't serve our historically underserved students, which is the majority of our school, in the best way. And so I think I'm excited that actually this is an opportunity for us to rethink school, and like, how do we best meet the needs of our students and our community as we return in the fall. And so excited to come back and see them, but also excited for like all the innovations and new ways that we're able to best meet the needs of our kids.
All right. Is there anything else that you would like to add, or that you want parents or students to know?
We've just missed you, and we're so excited to see you and welcome you back to school.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Megan McCarter, the principal here at Scott Elementary School. So back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Bryant. Yes, and it is so exciting for those kids headed there. We had a chance to talk to a couple of little 5th grade boys yesterday who are going back to class. Middle school in the Tiger Tualatin district starts today, and here's a few of their little answers and what they're excited for today.
I think about half the class I've not even seen their faces all year.
Has this last year felt super long or super short?
Sometimes you feel like if you're having a lot of trouble, it just slows down a lot. And sometimes I had a bit of trouble and it slowed down. slowed down for me. But I feel like it's been a nice week.
I don't think online learning is as fun, and it's kind of boring in my opinion, because you don't really get to do all those science experiments like you would usually do.
Has it been hard to kind of focus on work from home?
Yeah, well, I'd say that, yeah. Because there's a lot more distractions at home. Like, sometimes my brother and sister come in wanting help with something, or maybe they want to play with me a tiny bit.
Well, yeah, my dog. my dog will come into my room and jump up on my bed because I've showed him that he's allowed to go up there, but it distracts me a lot.
But what have you kind of missed the most that maybe you didn't think you would at first?
Usually I'd be talking with my friends at lunch, but we don't have that anymore, obviously, because of COVID, and I just think it feels kind of dull.
And also the science experiments my class sometimes did mystery science, and I feel like it's funner doing it as a class than on your own.
What are you most excited for when you go back into the classroom tomorrow? And Tate, I'll start with you. What are you most excited for?
Mostly seeing my friends and my teacher, to be honest with you. Even though we're 6 feet apart, still it's really nice to at least be able to see them in person.
I'd have to say the same thing. I can't wait to see my teacher and all my friends.
Yeah, they are so excited. They just said, like, technology has been the worst part. You know, there's so many different little apps and things don't connect and links don't work. And so now you can just raise your hand.
There is that sense of normalcy. I'm super excited for them as well. But, you know, as one, my kids are grown, but I love seeing things kind of getting back on track. And Christy Shirk on our stream was saying the same thing. It makes me happy. There's just this kind of buoyant feeling that you see when the little ones are going back.
Something is better than nothing. But I'll tell you this much, and I'm sure it's the case, Rod, in your daughter's school and these schools that we're talking about this morning. So my kids went back the week before spring break. They're still doing the screen learning because they're in cohorts, right? So half of their class is there with them on Mondays and Wednesdays, and then they're home Tuesdays, Thursdays. The other half of the class, when they're in school, still learning from home, and they bring out their pads, and they still are being taught by one teacher to both the people in the classroom and the people that are on the Zoom call. So it's great that they're back in the classroom. I can't wait for the next step where they're no longer staring at the screen still, you know, getting that instruction. Yeah. We're not past that yet.
Yeah, I think a lot of schools are doing it differently. Like these boys who are in Tiger Tualatin schools, they're going for 3-hour blocks twice a week. And there's no lunch at school, so they're gonna go home before lunch because it would have them take their masks off, you know, to eat. And so the school didn't want to have that. But they will have their own in-room teacher, and she's only teaching them. This is how they're doing it at their school. And then there's a second teacher who's just doing the online group. And so the teacher isn't distracted and like trying to show something to a screen and the kids, which is kind of cool. So everyone's, you know, doing different little
It does sound like that makes more sense. I mean, I guess time will tell, but ultimately, hopefully, time will get rid of all those plans and we go back to real normalcy.
So let's just go over super quick for people not familiar, just the timeline. April 1st, again today, the preschool first graders, and the 5th, 2nd through 5th graders, and then the older kids, middle and high school, go back on April 19th.
And that's for Portland Public. You know, we were talking about this before the show started. Rod, you were quick to point out, you know, some kids have been doing this for weeks now. And it was the Estacada School District, right, that we highlighted yesterday, and they've been doing this since February.
Yeah, I know Vancouver Public, I want to say roughly it's been a month since a lot of the kids have been back in school.
How's your daughter doing? Is she loving it?
You know, like those kids, my daughter's in 8th grade, and she loves being back. She has a full day of school in the class on Thursdays and Fridays, and then she's, you know, at home on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And I don't know if we'll ever really know the answer to this question, but, you know, a parent, what's concerning to me is, and I think as these teachers get the kids back in their class, they'll have probably, I'm going to assume the teachers will have a better idea of where everybody's at. Does everybody got their learning up to this level, or some of the kids really kind of slip behind during remote learning? You know what I'm saying? And so it's going to be interesting to see what the teachers' feedback is in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Hearing from Catherine Lamoureux on the Facebook live stream right now. She says, how on earth are you going to make these children keep their masks on? Also, how can teachers keep them social distancing? I mean, valid questions. And I think it would be harder with the kindergarten and first grade kids as far as masks are concerned, maybe. I can just tell you from my own kids' experience, I asked them about the masks, they said everyone keeps them on, like no one's challenging that. They just, that's not a big deal at all. The social distancing is a challenge, and teachers and school administrators, basically they're gonna do the best they can, but we've already received 2 notes since this all started in our district 2 weeks ago about, hey, please remind your kids when they're here, they need to practice social distancing.
At least in the classroom, like they're at their desk, and a lot of the schools are doing like plexiglass little 3 walls around it. And then, if you have your history teacher, your English teacher, you stay at your desk, and the teachers are the ones that are switching rooms. So you don't have hallways of kids. So they're doing the best they can.
I think the Scott Elementary School's principal that we heard from made the good point. These little ones that maybe you're concerned about, this is all brand new. They're just learning the rule. They don't know anything different because some of them have never been in school before. So I do think at that age they're so sweet, so tender, so compliant. They try their best, and if you teach them this new habit, they will never know anything else.
I mean, pre-K, you're 5 years old. Kindergarten, you're 6. By then, I think they're pretty good. My daughter is 3, and she's like 50-50 wearing a mask. She'll just 30 seconds later, just take it straight off and be defiant. And we have a little silent standoff, outside of a store of you have to put this over thing. But she's only 3. And I think, as she sees more kids and stuff, I mean, some kids are great about, I've seen other little 3-year-olds, and boy, they are good about keeping that on. But at 5 and 6, I think they do pretty decent.
But then they turn 13 and they become more defiant.
So Connie Staub Miller says 2 of my grandsons went back 3 weeks ago, 2 days a week. They were so excited. As a grandma, I've been glad that they've been safe at home for a year, but super happy for them to go back.
Yeah.
Very cool to see. Renee Robertson, who we know normally chimes in from Panama, but she's up back here in the state of Oregon this week. She says her daughter.
She's at the airport.
Yeah, she's at the airport.
She's at the airport to come back to Portland right now.
Oh, I didn't even see that comment.
Renee?
You got to keep up with Renee's travel plans.
I'm sorry, I just saw the comment that says
a lot earlier.
Her daughter going back to Oregon State for a new term this week with 2 in-person classes, 3 online. I know a couple of students who are freshmen this year at OSU, and they spent that first term entirely learning distance learning, or entirely doing distance learning. It is a challenge. I think of all these different grades, like how tough it would be if you're a senior in high school. That's a tough ask to finish out your high school career this way. Tough to be starting college in this mode. Tough for the young kids in kindergarten or first grade who don't know school at all, and hey, this is what school's like, Not really.
Yeah, exactly.
And then next year they'll go, how come we gotta be here 5 days? Hopefully they'll say that next year, right?
Christy says my granddaughter is a teacher, and no problem with masks. The kids know how to stay at their desks.
Good.
Yeah, that's some good insight.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then Beth says, I teach K through first grade in Salem Kaiser. My students are doing great wearing masks in class.
Good. It is just an incentive, of hey, if you guys want to keep coming back, if you eventually want to have recess and lunch together, wear those masks. So, but it is crazy. April 1st, when does school end? End of May? So,
Hours will end, no.
June
20th, about June 15th, 20, somewhere in there.
No,
right?
we're down to June 22nd.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes a while.
So maybe 3 months. I mean, I guess it's better than nothing.
Okay, so this is a good question. Nina, maybe you know this after kind of chatting with folks about it. Catherine wants to know, so are there twice as many teachers since the learning is divided? Where is the funding coming from to support the extra educators?
I think they're making it work. They're just splitting up groups and
with the staff they already had in place.
With the staff they already have. Yep. And some, like you were saying, some of the day is in person, and then some of the day is hybrid, and all the schools are doing it differently. So maybe it's the same teacher is doing the first half of the day in person, and then he jumps online for the next half of the day, which is from home. Yeah. So I don't think many places are hiring new staff for that.
Yeah, the lunch, that is an interesting way to go about it. I never thought of that. I like the fact that our kids are going back for full days, a few days a week. So 1 week they'll go back for 2 days.
So they are having lunchtime.
And the next week it's 3, and they do have the lunch there. But that is a tricky part of the equation, because there's no getting around taking off your masks at that point. And then they let them outside a few times each day to just, get some fresh air.
Yeah.
And that's also the times where maybe, kids would get closer together, if that's a fear. But maybe there is maybe it is a good plan is what I'm trying to say, where Tiger Tualatin is doing it half days, and that way you go home and have your lunch and maybe do the back half of your day with distance learning.
Do the lunchroom, or how does that work actually?
I was going to say, Natasha, Drew, I know.
We're all listening to Brian Matthews, our director. His kids are part of that Tiger Tualatin district, and he says they are actually going to the cafeteria, walking there with masks on, getting lunch, and then bringing the lunches back to the classroom, Brian?
In the classroom.
Yep, that's how they're doing it.
That makes sense.
Everybody's doing it. Natasha's school in Clark County, I think they go to the lunchroom and they don't have the tables aren't there. They basically have chairs positioned, 6 feet spacing, and you sit on your chair, if I understand her correctly, and you eat on your lap. Now, it is interesting. This caught Daddy's attention. Lunch is free. They're not charging for it the rest of the school year. Same at your school, Drew?
And that's not normal?
Is that right?
Same with our school, and that's not normal, Nina. Normally, you would either bring your lunch or pay for lunch.
Yeah, you have to pay, get your punch card, and you pay for it. But they're not doing that this year. It's just free.
Oh, that's cool.
They've actually been providing free meals. Most districts, I want to say, statewide, have been doing that since the pandemic began, and it stopped during the summer, but continued once school resumed in September.
Well, I mean, food insecurity is just off the charts. I mean, maybe this is a good plug for our KGW Great Food Drive. People have been just amazingly generous this year because they know the situation is dire for so many of our neighbors in Oregon and Southwest Washington. What was our original goal?
1.5 million pounds of food.
And we're up to 3.8 million?
It's 3 point something, nearing 4.
Okay.
And that, I mean, when we set that goal, it's just not a number. We go, oh, that sounds good. Like, we really think that that's a realistic goal that we may struggle to reach, but we think we can get there. So that's why they set it at 1.5 million back on March 1st. And like you said, the outpouring was tremendous this year, which made our original goal seem silly.
I've never
why did we
seen
set it
anything
so
like
low?
it. Yeah.
And
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, Portland Parks and Rec is going to be bringing back their summer free lunch program, Lunch in the Park, where they give out like thousands of meals, and they have summer activities and stuff at a bunch of the parks, and it's all totally free for anyone to come, 18 and under. And then they're also hiring for like 1,800 jobs. So pools are going to reopen, all the outdoor pools are going to reopen. Summer camp is going to be back for a bunch of kids, so they're looking for lifeguards and coaches and all that kind of fun stuff. So we do have that story also on kgw.com. So things are starting to happen.
Absolutely. Jaylene is weighing in from Newburgh, and she says the middle school and high school are doing 2 days a week from 8 to 1, and then they're sending sack lunches home at the end of the day.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I'd be super hungry by the end of the day. Holy cow.
Rod needs a snack.
Yeah, I need a snack.
Christy Shirk says they're doing lunch at school in the classroom. The kids are far enough apart so they can take off their masks.
And then Karen still has concerns. She says it's too early. COVID cases are spiking, and why start with elementary school kids? They're not a test subject. My children are going to continue distance learning because I work with the elderly. Certainly there are those that are still thinking, let's just wait until we get more people vaccinated, and other people that have been ready for this.
And that's why it was an option for all parents. You did not have to go back to in-person learning. You could stay, distance learning. But it has been interesting. Like, I asked those boys' families from Tiger Tualatin. They said it's been about, they heard it was almost like 80-20 of families that said, yeah, we want to have our kids do the hybrid thing and do some days in person. And what was it, Drew? Estacada was like 60-40 almost?
I'd say most of the districts we've asked so far have come back with numbers like 65-35 or 70-30 in favor of students going back into the classroom versus staying home completely. That's a pretty high number, 80-20. But I haven't heard anything that is swayed the other way. It seems like, regardless of which district we've asked, the majority of families are sending their kids back to this hybrid model right now.
Yeah, so I don't know. Big first day.
We could end this in many different ways, but Brenda, since you brought it up a couple of minutes ago, I do think it's worth mentioning the food drive one more time. If Director Brian has that full screen to pull up to end with, because we do only have 2 days left in this year's food drive. The website to give is kgw.com/food drive. You can also hold up the camera of your phone right to that QR code, and we'll send you a link on how to give. But I also bring up that site because if you do need help from this year's food drive, you can also find ways to get that help at that same site, kgw.com/food drive. That's going to do it for this edition of Sunrise Extra, but we have the Friday edition coming your way tomorrow. We hope to see you then.
Woohoo!
has gone